I'm very pleased to introduce Andrea Martinez from SINLOC. He is the NESOI project coordinator, and I will give you the floor in 1 minute. We have also Jaume Cot from ZABALA, and he's going to explain, to give early information about the first NESOI open call. We have Lola Mainar from CIRCE. She's going to present the self-check analysis for eligibility. We have Giorgio Bonvicini from RINA Consulting. He's going to explain the selection criteria for the project that will apply to the open calls. We have Gustavo Jacomelli from ZABALA, and he's going to present the NESOI help desk. And we are very pleased to have Giulia Serra from DG Energy Unit C2. So she's working on the topic of clean energy islands, and she will give some introductory words. But I first give the floor to Andrea Martinez and then to Giulia. So please, all speakers, you can switch off your camera except Andrea and Giulia.
Thank you, Sophie. Thank you very much, and welcome you all to this third International NESOI European Island Facility webinar. Thanks again to Giulia Serra. Having the Commission on board is most important for our consortia and also for the beneficiaries that are listening, potential beneficiaries to the facility, highlighting the relevance that this facility has in the implementation of the European policies. Likewise, I would like, and allow me to do it, to thank all project partners and colleagues that will intervene, as well as those that won't intervene, because today we have come almost to the end of the preparatory work. We are ready to launch the facility. A lot of excellent work has been done in the past month, and I would like to thank them all and let you know that there is a very large team working around this project. A kind of thank you to Manuela Conconi, our project officer, who I think is not with us, but her supervision and advice in these months has been of great value to us all. Okay, today I'm very happy to announce the launch of the first call, which the colleagues will detail in the coming hour or so. A technical assistance platform that, as some of you already know, is aimed at accelerating energy transition and favor the successful implementation of the new Green Deal policies in geographical islands. We have some very relevant expected results because we expect to stand by islands, providing them with technical assistance to mobilize 100 million euro of investments, at least 440 gigawatt hours annual gigawatt hours of primary energy savings, and 160,000 kiloton CO2 a year to be added to that. So it's very ambitious program, but ambitious but not unrealistic, and absolutely feasible. In the past months, in the build-up to the call, we have had the opportunity to further understand the needs of the islands and fine-tune our technical assistance solutions. This has been very useful. Many islands have come forward already via the survey and the help desk, and we sincerely hope that this broad interest for this facility will now translate into action, an action which on our side is going to, let's say, take will be performed through the delivery of 3.1 million euro of resources, which will be allocated to local authorities and some private entities, eligible private entities, for a maximum grant of 60K, which will be used to source locally specialist advisory, technical, legal, procedural, economic, and so on and so forth. That will be sidelined by our team, so we will match to these 60,000K maximum a pari passu approach of mandates provided by the experts of the facility. Experts of the facility, which in turn comprise legal, economic, financial, industrial competencies. The next steps for the implementation process is that we will have a call for proposals. Details will be explained by my colleagues after me. Local entity participation, selection of beneficiaries, technical assistance, and implementations to carry out planning and project implementation. The aim of which has to be and will have to be to activate additional investment. Our consortia is, as I said before, very structured. It comprises 10 partners, and we are very glad and proud to be able to coordinate this consortia, which has very strong players, as you can see, including Deloitte, R2M, ZABALA, E.ON, Wolf Ties, CIRCE, RINA, AI, and CERN. So we also have a good geographical coverage, which is also very relevant for this project. I would like to thank you all. I hope you will enjoy the webinar, and please, we look forward to stand by you in the deployment of the projects. Please, Giulia, I'll leave you the word.
Thank you, Andrea, and welcome everyone. So indeed, before starting and let this discussion started, I also would like to stress once more how supporting island in fully exploiting their potential is key for the energy transition and also to realize the objective of the European Green Deal. As a fact, the role that islands can play in the energy transition is also first explicitly recognized in the European Commission communication on clean energy for all Europeans, where the current opportunities are highlighted to strengthen the potential to make the Europe island communities innovation leaders in this transformation process. At the same time, we are also aware that islands and islands region are also facing specific challenges that needs to be addressed to fully exploit this potential. The recognition of this potential and also that the islands are facing these specific challenges and opportunities highlighted the need of a structural support for islands across all the European Union. And this recognition date back already in 2017, when the Commission, together with 14 member states, signed the political declaration on clean energy for European island, bringing to the Clean Energy for European Island initiative. And in this context, in 2018, a secretariat was also set up to deliver the objectives of the Clean Energy for European Island initiative, and specifically to support islands on the development of the clean energy transition agenda, meaning developing strategies and plans for the energy transition itself. And I think highlighting this point is also particularly important for this project, because NESOI will be also part of the Clean Energy for EU Island online forum that will take place end of October, for the 26th to the 29th of October. And the program of this specific forum will focus on creating a stronger links between the institutions at European level and also local actions on the island. So it will be an opportunity to exchange ideas and to discuss how to create the enabling framework for the decarbonization of the European island. And in this context, we also expect and we look forward for NESOI to share the experiences of its ongoing activities, but also preliminary results that are coming from these webinars that is putting forward and organizing, together with the interaction that the project is having with also local authorities and communities. And I would also like to spend a few words on the challenges, because I also think that it's extremely important today to raise one of the main questions to focus on. That is also how the clean energy transition can help and will help European islands to build a resilient and sustainable economy, particularly keeping in mind the COVID-19 pandemic. And once again, here it's really important to stress the importance of the island in this context, because islands across the EU have long been a front runners in building a resilient and sustainable community. And resilience is now one of our keywords for the recovery. Island means also the ability to build local economies, to have them developed, to create jobs, to improve health, and also to have more balanced local economies. And these are all key for better future perspective, but also to progress on our recovery strategy. Thus, islands can be an example on how to go ahead, how to address challenges, and how to tackle opportunities. And again, in this context, we see NESOI projects really to go one step ahead, to go deeper, to go farther, and to complement not only the initiatives that are already in place, to which the project is already aligned, but also to help us addressing new challenges that are coming, not only linked to the energy transition itself, but also linked to the recovery that we are now preparing to put forward. So with that said, of course, if you want additional information on the other activities on island at European level, I'm also happy to provide that information to you. And now I leave the discussion to start. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Giulia, for setting the scene about clean energy islands in Europe. And thank you very much, Andrea, for introducing the project. So now I would like to give the floor to Jaume Cot, and he's going to talk about early information about the first NESOI open call. Thank you.
Good morning. Yes, thank you. Well, I will talk a little bit about the first call. Yes, the question is, which type of project does NESOI support? Well, all kinds of projects related to sustainable energy projects. This is from renewable source, energy efficiency projects, energy storage, sustainable mobility solutions, and so on. This is a wide range of projects, but this project that is energy transition projects, let's say. If we go to the next slide. Yes, where should the projects be implemented? Well, on an island belonging to one of the member states of the European Union and UK also, including the outmost regions, but excluding the overseas countries and territories. And also the maximum area of the island should be lower than 30,000 square kilometers. In which activities are funded by NESOI? Let's say we provide financing, technical assistance in all activities in all stages of development. This is from project design and to project realization, going through project preparation, implementing procedures, access to finance. So also all these activities that are related to these stages are covered by NESOI. Who can apply to receive NESOI support? Well, one or more legal entities. This is, you can submit individually or going by consortium. It should be legal entities established in the member states of the European Union and UK also, including the outmost regions. But it should be noted that private companies in any legal form, they will need to provide a support letter from the relevant public authority. So we need a an engagement between private and public entities. And which type of support is provided? Well, we provide two types of support: financial support and technical support. So if we go to talk about financial support, what we will give is 60,000 euros, a lump sum of 60,000 euros in the form of grant. It will be for contracting technical external services for technical assistance, but at the same time, the NESOI experts will also provide technical support. Yes, and which type of technical support we will provide? Well, this is some indicative examples, but it can be from pre-feasibility studies, supporting drafting tender documents, and support for procurement. There's a wide range of portfolios, and it's important that the applicants should know what type of assistance they will need for the project. And this, the important one, is what is the journey to receive funding. And well, we will start with the application, and there is a nice tool that sells eligibility test, which you will know whether you are eligible or not, your project is eligible for funding or not. Then you will need to submit the application form, which I will talk later. And for this process, it will be more or less 2 months. Then we will, the NESOI Technical Committee will evaluate each proposal. It will take no more than 2 months, and then you will know whether you are a successful application or not. Then, if you are a successful application, you will be invited to prepare to sign the contract for the grant agreement. And this will be a stage for preparing all the documents, is to know to confirm your information and probably ask you some doubts. And then we will sign the signature. Then the action will be able to start, and then you will receive this technical assistance support during the whole duration of the project. The projects are between 6 and 12 months. And then if your project is longer than 9 months, you will be able to access to 50% of the payment after submitting just an interim report. Then at the end of the project, you will be able to submit the final report, just evidence that the work that has been carried out, and then you will receive the 50% of the final payment. And if your project is shorter, then you will receive the payment at the end of the action. Which documents must be provided for the application? Well, I will invite you to see the next speech about evaluation criteria, so you will gain more insights about the information that will be needed, but it's more or less about project description and the main features, project impacts, the project execution, and then support that you are requesting. And information about you or the consortium and the island ecosystem. There will be some mandatory attachments. This is for private entities. This is the support letter from public authorities. Probably the declaration of honor and declaration of compliance. This last one is more about EU policy and norms. Maybe we will change it, and this will be during the grant agreement preparation. But at the end, you will need to sign this type of documents. And optional, but very important, is any support letter from other stakeholders, transition agendas, or documents that providing a little bit the maturity project information about the maturity of the project. So this is a proof of secure financing or existing agreements, already existing studies, already planning license. This is building permits and so on, and also maps and simple sketches of the project location. And when should you submit the application? Well, we will open the call next 12th of October, and then you will have time until 28th of December 2020. So at 5 o'clock, remember. And where the application form can be found, well, whenever you need information and submit the application, everything is at the NESOI platform, and you can see here below the link. There you can find also further information about the call. And how to seek support in case of questions? Well, we will publish also a guideline for applicants. So you will have described all the procedures from preparation until grant agreement preparation until implementation of the action. Then you will also have a help desk. So in this case, my colleague will explain you better later. And we will also publish a frequently asked questions. And this is more or less all.
Many thanks, Jaume, for this presentation. We are just in time, so thanks. You can switch your camera off. And in case there are some questions for Jaume about the organization of the open call, please write your questions in the question box, and we have a Q&A session at the end of the webinar. So now I'm pleased to give the floor to Lola Mainar from CIRCE. She's going to present the NESOI self-check analysis for eligibility. Please.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for assisting. I'm going to explain you the NESOI self-check eligibility tool, as we have been we have been in charge of developing the concept of it, and it has been implemented with the support of our colleagues, CIRCE. So it has been the result of different collaboration between us and the rest of the partners. The aim of the tool is to help interested islands in applying to the NESOI's call for the support, even financial and technical. And we understand that maybe when analyzing the eligibility criteria could be a difficult or long task. So we want to ease it the previous way to the islands. So we'll guide them if they are eligible or not, depending on for each of the criteria. And also we want to support them giving extra information how they are or how the rest of the islands similar to them are in terms of energy transition. So next, please. Okay, so the tool is already ready for online. It's available in the NESOI website. You can see it. The link is under eligibility tool. You can access to it, and you can see it already in the website. It's fully available. The tool starts with a very basic questionnaire. First of all, asking 3 simple questions regarding location, season, and other ones, in order to know about the island and to locate the island in a cluster where we are going to give this island more information about it in terms of energy transition. And apart from that, we include extra questions regarding the eligibility criteria in order to guide them later, as the results will be specific for the island is using the tool at that moment. I want to highlight that the data that is included that doesn't have to do with any confidential data, and it always will be under anonymous way. We don't ask about island names or contact data, etc. So in this sense, it's very safe, and also we don't store the data that you include. So it's just to help you understand the energy transition and the eligibility. The one example of results for the eligibility tool, results is shown here in this slide. So for each of the eligibility criteria, it says if you are eligible or not. Eligible in green and not eligible in red, and it explains you a little bit the criteria in order to help you to make you eligible in the criteria that you are not at the moment, if it's possible. And for the next one, please. And for the energy transition information, we made a previous analysis within this project in order to understand the energy transition situation of the islands, and it was obtained from a survey circulated previously in this year, and from the respondents we clustered the islands in 6 clusters that are included in this table. 2 of them are just have to do with the size of the islands, large islands and medium-sized islands, cluster 1 and 2, and the 4 rest of the are small islands, but with different features in terms of connectivity with the mainland, and in terms of seasonality and in terms of tourism. So we clustered these islands in order to, after that, when you use the tool, you will be located just in one of these clusters and will display information respecting that cluster for you, in order to know let you know similar islands how they are on energy transition. The information given has to do with key performance indicators that were established previously, and we understood that were useful to understand this energy transition, and they are given in graphs, through graphs, and yes, in sector graphs, and also the bar graphs, and it's just information that is valuable for you, and you keep it for you. This is the example of how it's displayed in the website. And that's all from my side. This is the self-check tool. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lola, for this presentation. So now I'm going to give the floor to Giorgio Bonvicini. He's going to present the selection criteria that's going to be applied by the NESOI consortium to select the projects that are going to receive our support. Please, Giorgio.
Thank you, and good morning, everybody. My presentation will focus on the selection criteria for the NESOI support, how to prepare your proposal. As you have already listened during the previous presentation, the eligibility criteria can be easily checked using the online self-eligibility check tool. Now we only need to know the proposal format and the aspects that we will evaluate to select the project that will be supported by NESOI. The 2 aspects are strictly linked because the structure of the proposal has been designed to meet the requirements of the evaluation process, so to make as easy as possible for the applicant to request the support, and also for us to evaluate the proposals received. So, next slide, please. Thank you. Our aim in the design of the selection criteria and the proposal structure was to keep at the minimum the number and the number of criteria and aspects to be covered in the proposal and in the evaluation phase, as well as keeping objective and transparent the selection criteria, to do so, the selection criteria will be published on our website in the deliverable 3.3 that will be uploaded to the website soon, at the latest, together with the opening of the call. The selection criteria aim at evaluating fairly all the project to foster a competitive allocation of the resources available and to support projects that are meaningful and impactful in the framework of energy transition of Ireland. Next slide, please. Okay, the structure of the proposal and the 4 macro areas that will be evaluated by NESOI consortium to select the project to be supported are 4. So project description and main features, focusing on an overall presentation of the project, of the proposed project, to allow evaluator to understand the scope, the boundaries, the roles and responsibilities of the actors involved. The project impacts that should describe which areas of the energy transition are addressed and quantify the impacts of the projects under different fields that we will see later. Project execution and design support. Here we would like to know the timeline of the project that requested support and the key steps for the deployment and how the support requested to NESOI fits into the timeline for the project implementation. And then beneficiary and island ecosystem that aims at collecting information regarding the relevant actors and stakeholders involved and how they are engaged to maximize the success of the project. In the next slides and specifically in the structure of the proposal, the information to be provided will be clearly presented. So as I mentioned before, we will have 4 core sections of the proposal plus 1 that is proposal at a glance, so a brief abstract of the proposal to provide an overview of the main features. And then the attachments, and we will talk about the attachment later. We will accept, I anticipate, only a proposal written in English, but supporting documents attachment could be even in local language, because we know that typically contracts, authorization documents, offers from suppliers, and so on can be written only in the local language. The submission of the NESOI proposal will be carried out through the NESOI platform, so online, and I anticipate here for each, but this will be described better in the next slide, we will assign a score from 1 to 5, thank you, to each of the 4 above mentioned areas. The minimum threshold to be supported for each macro area is 2. The minimum total threshold is 12. So we will follow the same scores as in the evaluation of Horizon 2020 project. So as shown in this slide, 1 corresponds to a poor proposal, 2 to a fair proposal, which is overall addresses the criteria, but shows also significant weaknesses. 3 is good, 4 very good, and 5 excellent. Please, next slide. And another point, we will provide the scores with a 0.5 resolution. So maybe you can achieve 4.5, 5, or less. Okay, so now I will briefly present the 4 main sections of the proposal. Section 1, project description and main features. Here we would like to know who are the project proponents, where is the project located, which is the maturity of the project, the investment size, the financial leverage factor. So how much investment you will mobilize as a ratio divided by the amount of support that you request to NESOI. The sources of finance, if you have already identified, and which are the sources of finance identified, and expected economic savings and a bit the overall economic performance of the project you propose. Here, specifically, evaluator will assess the level of alignment with the EU objectives for island decarbonization and with the NESOI project targets. Next slide, please. Section 2 focuses on project impacts. Here we would like to know the impacts that the project will achieve in terms of energy related impacts, primary energy savings, greenhouse gas emissions avoided, improvement of local environmental conditions, so reduction of other pollutant emission or improvement of local conditions, mitigation of energy poverty, social acceptance and stakeholder engagement in the local community, and then all other kind of impacts on local economy, increase of the renewable share over the total energy balance of the island, benefits on the local grid, etc. Next slide, please. Section 3, project execution and NESOI support. Here, as I introduced before, we would like to know the support that you need from our side. So the technical, financial, legal support that you would like from NESOI partners, and the services that you would like to procure with the NESOI grant part. Then the timeline of the proposed activities, the coherence of the NESOI support with the timeline of the proposed activities in terms of barriers that will be unlocked thanks to the support we provide. Then details about the readiness of the proposed actions, what you have already carried out, how is the design, the feasibility, then design, the procurement phase going, if this is the case. Or if you have already available energy planning documents at the island or municipality level, and so on. So where we are and where we want to go thanks to the NESOI support. Next slide, please. Thank you. Section 4, beneficiary and island ecosystem. Here we would like to identify which is the situation regarding the stakeholders involved in the project, the coherence of the governance of the project, who are the actors involved, the roles, the responsibilities, the beneficiaries, which is the capacity of the beneficiary in implementing this kind of projects. We would like to know a bit regarding the risks that could affect the implementation of the project, including the details on the mitigation actions that the proponent plans to implement to mitigate these risks. Then the role of the project in the local energy context, which is the benefit in the local context that will be achieved thanks to the project implementation. It is very important to have a clear allocation of responsibility among different partners to have a successful project. Next slide, please. Okay, as I mentioned, we foresee the provision of attachment to the core parts of the proposal. We have a part of the attachment that are mandatory, including declaration of honor for absence of situation of exclusions, absence of conflict of interest, compliance with EU norms and regulation. They are all mandatories in line with the eligibility criteria. Then for private entities, we have a mandatory letter of support from a public authority or stakeholders. Other attachments are optional and could include, among other, local transition agendas, sustainable energy action plans, other planning document at island or municipality or asset level. Then other proofs of secure financing, feasibility studies, licenses obtained, whatever you'd like to upload that supports what you are presenting in the core parts of the proposal. These attachments, of course, could be in local language because, I mean, a municipality typically provides licenses in your language and not in English, and so on. Next slide, please. Okay, thank you. In addition to the scores from 1 to 5 for each of the 4 areas, the evaluators will be allowed to provide, to assign bonuses to the evaluated proposals. These bonuses are related to the following topics: replicability, if the proposed solution is highly replicable in other islands or even in the same islands or even in the mainland; innovation, if the proposed technical solution goes beyond the state of the art of the local context significantly; and archipelago, if the proposal addresses the topic not only on an island but more islands on an archipelago. Next slide. Okay, it was my last slide, and please feel free to ask a question if you have any.
Thank you very much, Giorgio, for this presentation. So indeed, there are already some questions in the question box, and we will address those questions after the last presentation. So now I'm giving the floor to Gustavo Jacomelli. He's going to present the NESOI help desk. And please, Gustavo, go ahead.
Thank you, Sophie. Okay, so yes, I'm here to present the help desk. So the European Islands Facility NESOI help desk is a centralized tool which you can use to ask any questions you may have related to the forthcoming open call. The tool is based on a ticketing system that allows you to ask a question and receive support in one of 7 languages. These are English, French, German, Italian, Spanish, Greek, and Croatian. So the steps to access and use the help desk are as follows. Okay, yes, great. So as a first step, go to the NESOI website, and in the navigation pane, under open calls, you will see first open call. When you highlight this, a subsection called help desk will appear. Once you click on that, it will take you to the sign-in portal. If you want to go to, yeah, there you go. Okay, once in the sign-in portal, if you can, yeah, you will be asked to create, if you haven't registered already, you will need to create an account. So you simply click on create account quite easily. Next slide. And in the following menu, you'll be asked to fill in your email address and full name and provide a password. If you want to go through the steps, Sophie, yeah, there you go, it's highlighted there. And once you've done that, you just click on register. So if it all goes smoothly, you should be seeing a confirmation screen saying thank you for registering for an account. At this point, we invite you to check your email because you should have received a message asking you to confirm the registration. It's worth noting that you might need to also check the spam folder, as sometimes, depending on the filter you have, this email might end up there. So yeah, next slide. So if you open, just click through again. Sorry, it's animation. So once you the message you should receive should be the following type of message, which has a link on which you click to activate. So, and you can go to the next. So once your account is confirmed, you can sign in the portal by entering your email and password, like so. Yeah, and so once signed in, you will need to open a new ticket that you can see at the top part of the menu. There you go. And once you click on open a new ticket, you will be invited to select a topic. So here, just a little note, because we're still developing, fine-tuning this website. This section will be renamed probably to select your preferred language rather than help topic. So anyway, what it consists of is just a simple drop-down menu in which you can select the language that you would like to ask your question in and receive support in. Okay, and then you create a ticket. So once you select your language, you will be you'll see a new option to fill in the subject of your question. And you then have another box below where you can type in all the specifics of your email. And then you just need to click on create a ticket at the bottom, and away you go. So next slide. So once the ticket has been received, so what you need to do now is just simply wait for the help desk to reply. You should also receive automated email notification when we reply, but you can also just check in for your tickets at the top. So if you just want to click on further, you just, so the circles appear, there you go. So you just when you click on tickets at the top here, you can then see the thread of your question and response. If you click one more, and yeah, there you go. So you see, for example, in this case, Italian help desk. So here you can see the replies and the exchange between help desk and yourself. And that's basically it. So hope that was clear enough.
Thank you very much, Gustavo. We are just in time, so we have finished all presentations that were foreseen at this webinar. So I would like to invite every speaker to switch cameras on. And we are going to start the Q&A session. So my colleague Carola, who is here, has read all the questions, and we may pick up the first question, Carola.
There are several questions, maybe one more general. The first one, probably for Jaume. Can NESOI make a study to decide the best options for any given islands? Otherwise, how does the entity decide the best situation for the community? I think Jaume or Andrea can probably answer.
Jaume?
So the question is exactly make a NESOI make a study for the options. I think it should be more concrete. What I mean, what is the best? Maybe I can translate the question to Andrea, but I think that the study should be more mature than this.
Well, we can. We will provide also some menus of possible technical assistance that should also help the applicants to, let's say, match between their needs and a package of support. The facility is for sure aims at mobilizing investments, and so insofar as possible, we would we would target principally projects which are capable of seeing the light, i.e. being implemented. This is what we call in our menus either pre-feasibility, which basically should support the local authority, the project promoter, in defining very clearly the roadmap of the project, and also with the feasibility study try and seek funding. The timing we think is good because we are talking about a facility that will work with you at the beginning of the new programming period, MFF 21-27, and so this should give you also the opportunity to intercept public and private funding together. So this is one set of projects. The other set of projects is obviously if you have a project which you have already designed, so to speak, but is not yet put out to the market, as in a tender or in sourcing finance, we can support that. We can also support, let's say, higher level planning, early stage planning. For instance, a mobility plan, an energy transition plan, grid balancing plan. In that case, what we need, what we want, and what we ask is that the plan becomes the basis for a commitment of the local authority or the promoter to execute those projects in the midterm. So it has to become a planning document, not only a study. So it's not so much a study of options, but it can be a study of options with a planning, with an implementation plan.
Okay. A question probably for Giorgio. Are pilots proof of concepts eligible for direct grant? Is there a co-financing requirement?
Okay, thank you for the question. Generally speaking, pilot projects could benefit of the innovation bonus that we mentioned, but in order to receive our support, we need that the concept is very well defined and the roles of the actors and the technology to be implemented is very well described and clear, because we want to implement projects, to support projects that have a real impact in the local energy context. Regarding co-financing, of course, it's related to the leverage factor. So if we provide 120K of support, in part of grant, in part of technical financial support in kind, we need that the investment mobilized is much higher, let's say 15, 20 times higher. So we will provide only a part of the requested, of the total cost for the beneficiary. Is it clear? Andrea, would you like to add something?
No.
Okay. There are three questions about private entity applying. So the first one is, can one private entity apply for more than one project islands? And I would also read the other one about private companies. Maybe you can provide a more comprehensive answer. Can a private company directly partner with some potential islands having already a renewable project? If yes, how? Is it possible for NESOI to share to islands a private company's interest? Probably, or Giorgio or Andrea, I would say.
I'll give you a first answer. Each applicant, irrespective of it being private or public, can only submit one project, but one project can also be made up of more projects. So it's one application which could include multiple sites, project sites. In theory, this could also be on different islands. If, however, there is proof that the two projects can share synergies and can be carried, let's say that they make sense to be put together. Okay. So I make an example. Municipalities, different municipalities from the same island or from an archipelago could join forces to submit a joint application to, for example, address mobility, okay? Or address, for example, lighting or energy efficiency in buildings. So this is one project, one application. This is my understanding. I don't know if my colleagues would like to add something. No?
Yes. No, regarding the point, if we are going to make some matching between private entities and islands, I don't think this is in the scope of the NESOI project.
No, it isn't. It can be as a result of NESOI, because one of the technical assistance provided will be and can be the setup of public-private partnerships. But obviously, we have to be, in that case, let's say, on the side of the public authority. So organizing, for instance, a procedure, setting up a project. Clearly, this does imply that we don't. Let's not forget that we will have to also abide to all the tendering rules in the different countries for the provision of works or services to public sector or public interest infrastructure.
Okay. One point probably linked to Andrea's previous answer, but from a different angle. Is there a limit to the number of projects that one entity can be awarded with? If one entity actually submit for more than one project, is there a limit?
The limit is always 120,000 K, 60,000 K of finance, of cash, and 60,000 K of man days equivalent provided by the consortium.
Okay. This is a question maybe for the help desk or for Giorgio again. What exactly does an archipelago mean, in the sense that can we have an islands from the North Adriatic and the South Adriatic in a consortium and be considered eligible for bonus points, as you mentioned in the presentations?
Yes, we can be quite flexible with the application of the archipelago bonus. I mean, with archipelago, we mean energy between or among 2 or more islands. So physically, they could even be not in the same geographical archipelago.
Okay. One second. Are the costs of the staff which will be engaged within the project applicant organization eligible?
No.
No.
Okay.
No, the idea of the facility is to help you procure specialist services. The starting assumption is that there is this need. This was the, let's say, the ground on which also the project was set up by the EU Commission.
Okay. Can a university serve as advisor counselor to a local authority and apply for the grant? Giorgio?
No. They can if they already have an agreement with the local authority, in respect, obviously, with the tendering laws, no, or the application laws.
Okay. Another question. Can the parts of ongoing projects be financed? For example, if documentation for renewable installation is not financed, can NESOI funds cover that? So it's a kind of co-financing of existing project partially funded, if I understand correctly.
Yes, it's part of the coherence of the NESOI support in the project implementation timeline. So if it's it fits well, it can be provided.
Yeah, but just for clarification, we can co-finance technical assistance. We cannot co-finance capital expenditure.
Yes, of course.
Okay, just for clarification.
Okay, other question around.
We can support the activity to go and find the missing co-financing.
Mm-hmm. A question, a general question. I thought there can be multiple projects from same island. If there is only one local authority on this island, does it mean that actually only one project can be submitted from these islands? I think this is something that you already mentioned, Andrea.
Yes, it is. Just again, clarification. However, the island could submit multiple sites of the same type of technology. No? So let us assume that they wanted to work on energy efficiency. They can submit a project which works on the energy efficiency of many buildings, not only one building. Or let us assume they want to work on free storage plants. They can submit for the free storage plant as a package, even though they're in different sites.
Okay. There are some general questions that I think maybe can be answered just with the presentation, for example, which are the eligible costs. But I think that it's important to say that this presentation and also the recording of this webinar will be available after the webinar itself on NESOI platform. So I don't know if you want to maybe to give other information about that. If not, probably it is better for the participant to look at this slide that we presented today. I see if there are some other specific question, maybe.
Yes, so just to confirm that the slides will be made public, and for the participants in today's webinar, they will receive an email with the slides or a link to the slides and to the recording of the webinar.
Okay. If we have time for some additional question, there is a new one. If a new company in the islands want to propose a project, are there any requirements the company should satisfy? For example, prove the experience in the sector, or since the platform provides technical support, it would not be a key parameter for the project evaluation. But I think this has been answered by Giorgio's slides when you said that they need to provide their background. But correct me if I'm wrong, Giorgio.
No, you're right. Of course, this is only one of the evaluation criteria for that area. So if they are a new company, maybe they have not significant experience in the sector. It is important that they compensate this with, for example, a selection of mature technology or an experienced technical provider.
Okay, a question for Lola. In the NESOI self-check eligibility tool, what does it mean, the question 2? Is it connected with the mainland? Do you mean connected via boat, flights, or infrastructures such as bridges, or connected from an energetic point of view?
Yes, the last one, connected from the energetic point of view. Yes. Maybe we should include this in the tool to make it more clear. Thank you.
Yeah, there is a question that was answered by Andrea. Even if it is for different sites, still max grant is 60k euro. So
the maximum is 60, but it could be lower if we have different menus of projects. So maybe an energy transition plan will be more than likely less than 60,000K. But going down, going up, it is irrespective of the value of the project. For sure, it is. So yes, if it's the capex of the project is irrelevant.
Okay. If capital expenditure is not eligible, then in fact pilots are not really eligible, e.g. hardware or software costs. So the answer, I think, is no, is not. They are not eligible.
But the technical support for the pilot implementation, in case, is eligible.
I think a clarification is needed here. This is an Horizon project. It's a cascade mechanism. We can support pilot projects, but within the boundaries of the technical assistance provided. So yes, we could. Clearly, if they are pilot projects and they are highly, let's say, innovative, they will probably have more difficulties in seeking finance, at least market finance. They could seek other funding finance. So we could support them, but again, in searching the need for finance. Scale might be an issue again. Let's not forget, no one has asked anything about this, but I will make the question and the answer. as we have to mobilize 100 million euro investment, there is a ratio of, let's say, technical assistance to investment, which on average we will have to meet, which is, if you make your arithmetics, more or less 1 to 18. So naturally, projects have to have a scale which is capable of supporting this objective of creating investments for 18 euros at least for every euro obtained of support.
If I may intervene also, just to complement and reformulate Andrea's statement regarding capital expenditure that is not eligible. So it's important to make clear that the purpose of the NESOI facility is not to subsidize projects. So the purpose of the NESOI facility is to provide technical assistance, so both in the form of expert resources from NESOI and also from external resources, and that's why we have the cascade funding. And the idea of this technical assistance is to make the projects attractive to investors. So it's not to fund or to subsidize the project themselves. So it's just to formulate in other words what Andrea just said.
There is the same question formulated by two participants. How we determine the value of your engagement? How will we know we are within 60,000 euro? Will you have a price list? Andrea or Gustavo?
Yes, we're working on this. We will provide some menus. We are still discussing how to, and we will close this in the coming days on how to, let's say, tackle the price menu. We have a number of options, but for sure there will be an indication.
Okay. If we have still time, there are some other questions. One for Lola again. In NESOI self-check eligibility tool at question 8, NESOI will accept both single entity proposal and consortia one. Please select the type of beneficiary that better suits your entity or consortia. The options are public, private, and then energy community. What do you mean by this last point? Also, an energy community might be private or public plus private?
Well,
I think this answer can be answered better by Giorgio or Andrea.
Giorgio, you take a go.
Yes, energy communities, we mean association of final energy consumers willing to undertake a joint project in the energy field, for example, for supply through a renewable plant or for common energy efficiency intervention, and so on. As we mentioned in the eligibility criteria, if this option applies only if the energy community is already set up. If the proposed project is to request support for the creation of an energy community, the request should be presented by the local authority, I mean the municipality, where the energy users are located. So I think it will not be so applicable because there are not so many energy communities already in place, but in case they can use that option.
There is a question about the action plan. If an island at early stage of energy planning submits an application to develop a CIAP and asks for a small amount, e.g. 10K, can it participate again in the second NESOI call for more technical assistance to work on specific project towards implementation?
It could, technically can, yes. There is no limit on the second call, if I remember well. However, let's also be careful not to have, I mean, projects have to also have reasonable size. So maybe, okay, this is an example, and maybe a support of 10K could be a bit complicated for the platform to provide. It's a matter of economies of scale. So there will be smaller projects, maybe that is maybe too small.
Okay. Always connected with the transition program. If an island has no energy transition program at all, can we apply to have a feasibility study done so that we can then move forward later?
Yes.
Okay.
With the limit, as we said before, the need for the transition plan then to be formally approved by the policy by the local authorities. Okay.
Yeah.
So it has to be a planning document.
I skipped a question that probably is for Giorgio. What exactly means that the private eligible applicant must have an asset on which to work on the project? What if at this stage of project planning it is not necessary to have an asset, but at a later stage? I don't know if the question is clear. It's not totally clear to me, but maybe for you.
I would say for me neither, but I try to answer. Maybe in the meanwhile, who has made the question can explain better in the question box. The idea is if you are a private entity, for example, an industrial plant or an hotel or whatever, on an island, you can apply to NESOI support for energy transition projects, renewables, energy efficiency, and so on, provided that you propose a project on your asset or on a public asset with the relevant concession, and you have a letter of support from the local authority saying, okay, this project is interesting for us as the public authority, and how it is implemented on your private asset. This is more or less the aim. If, for example, the aim is to install a new wind power plant, so there is no asset that at the moment, and you want support in the design or feasibility or whatever, of course, you have no asset, but you can apply, I think. Andrea, do you agree?
Yeah, this would be the case for a typical pre-feasibility menu, so where we can support the local authority in defining the technical option, procedural option, financial options, verify the sustainability, and support them in finding the successive funding, which could be either detailed design funding and without the or, and financing. The and/or will be because in the procedural evaluation, we will support the beneficiary in defining whether this is a project which can only be done, let's say, with a private or public or mixed solution monies. No? So understand which is the optimal financing solution. And where applicable, give the document for the beneficiary to go and use these documents to negotiate this funding.
In the meanwhile, I've seen that Ivan has written, better explained. They are an energy cooperative on the island. They want to set up a solar power plant. We have the support of the local government, but don't have an asset now. So exactly what we were saying. Okay.
Okay. A question about the self-check tool. In NESOI self-check eligibility tool at question 11, when would you expect the NESOI project would be mobilized? What do you mean by mobilized? The project should be finished by that date, or simply the investments related to the project should start by that date?
Jean, will you reply to this? Just I would state our mobilization definition.
Sorry?
Yes, we seek for projects that can be mobilized investment as soon as possible. However, we do not restrict this. I think not, but I'm not sure here. Also, Giorgio, I'm not sure whether we restrict or we put a limit after NESOI funding, after NESOI termination.
We have indicated that the projects which will only, let's say, support, whereby we will only support pre-feasibility or early stage planning, will have to be implemented on an horizon which is 2027. Whereas the projects which we call, let's say, executable, so whereby we support the last mile, so to speak, will have to be executed. No, sorry, not executed, but put out to tender if it's a tender, or put to contract if it's a private entity, before the end of NESOI project, which is 2024. This will be spelled out in the call for proposals too, so it's formally clear.
Exactly. But it's important to that the maturity of the project will be really different. So that's why we really try to cope with all these type of typology. But what we seek is that this can be done in a really short or medium term, let's say, on a commitment.
Okay. There are other maybe 2 points about the self-check eligibility tool, but I think that these are points to be addressed by the help desk. Some issues encountered by the user in the choices of the multiple options. So maybe I would choose another question. Can energy communities that are not yet established receive support from NESOI? I think we answered already. So the community, if I understood correctly, need to be established already. Is it correct?
Yes, otherwise is the municipality, the local municipality, that needs to request the support to establish the energy community. So we cannot finance an entity that does not exist at the moment.
Yeah.
But the second solution that we propose, we think is a good one, whereby the local authority becomes a dynamic actor, proactive actor in facilitating the birth of an energy community.
Well, I think that we have addressed almost every question.